My boy, Jacob Higbee.
What's going on?
How you doing, bro?
I'm doing good, man. It's good to see you. Good to talk to you again.
Yeah, man. How was your 2020?
Just like everyone else's. Uh, wait, like it wasn't bad. I'm glad that like I graduated in. Did I graduate in March or start? Well, whatever. I graduated kind of when it all started, so I'm glad that I was like home for the whole time.
Yeah.
Um, and like it's weird because my plan was well, not like for certain, but I was like really like considering like moving to like California or something like that. And honestly, now like I didn't do that because I was like, oh, I'm just gonna wait out COVID or whatever. But now that I'm here, I'm kind of happy I didn't do that. I don't know, so we'll see. But give me some time to think and like mull over and stuff like that. So
Yeah.
not that bad.
So you mean pre-pandemic you were thinking about moving to Cali or like it
hmm
hit you?
Um,
Uh,
yeah. So like, and like when the pandemic hit, obviously, because when it first happened, it was like, oh, it's like 2 weeks, whatever. We just quarantine, that's it. And here we are in January. But
yeah.
I was like, oh, I'll just go home for like, a month or so after I graduate, and then I'll move out. But um, yeah, no, after like thinking and kind of, I don't know, just a couple more things. I'm glad that I'm back in Atlanta now. I think I'll stay here for a while, so
Yeah.
it's all good.
You hopeful for 2021?
Oh yeah, dude. Oh yeah. I'm hoping that it like everything kind of I don't know explodes in a good way, right? Like I hope that people start going out and like stuff starts like booming again,
Yeah.
especially with like post production and sound and stuff like that. So we'll see. But I feel like anything has to be better than 2020, right? Like
I mean, let's knock on all wood that we
right,
can,
right, right.
man.
So
Yeah, we met on a basis on like Beat Club, but
hmm
just for like the people, so they can know like what it is.
hmm
Would you define yourself like? I see you as like an artist, sound designer, but like how would you describe yourself and what you do?
um God, that's a good one. I make music and stuff for fun in my pastime, but hopefully I'll get to the point where like I start posting it soon. But um, I get like really self conscious about stuff. So I'm trying to get over that, whatever. But
Yeah,
I would definitely say that I'm an artist, but I also like helping other people realize their artistry and like their potential. Because like I'll listen to music all the time on Instagram, on SoundCloud, and it's like a lot of these people have really great talent, but I think they're overlooked because they have like poor production or
yeah,
a whole number of things that kind of distract from the art itself. So I really help people doing that too, and it's a lot easier to it's funny when you do, I'm sure you feel this as well, but when you do your own art, um, sometimes I can kind of, I'm not super clear on what I want and like what I want the end result to be. But when I help other people, I'm like, oh, you should do this. And it's a lot easier for me to make quicker, more like defined decisions, I guess. Um, so yeah, I like making music and art and stuff, and I like helping other people improve their craft and do all that kind of stuff. So somewhere in the middle, I guess.
so within the role of like sound, what, not to like put you in a box or anything, but
Hmm.
what would you kind of call that, like what you're trying to do?
I don't know because like what I'm really trying to do, I think at the end goal is I'm really interested in like re-recording mixing,
Okay.
and like with that, I'm really interested in like mixing for music as well because I think those two things are similar and they both come with like an equal set of kind of challenges and like fun aspects of it.
Yeah.
But I also I also really enjoy like editing in general, all kinds of editing, and I also I wouldn't say like I necessarily am in love with like recording, but it's definitely something I don't mind. So I'm trying to really figure out more what I want to like focus on and
Right.
really like put all my time and effort to. So, but for now, like I'm really interested in like mixing, and I seem to be doing that the most nowadays in my free time and stuff. So even if I make a whack song that I know isn't going anywhere, I'm happy to like just mix it anyway. You know what I'm saying, and get
Yeah.
that like practice. So
That's when you know you really love
Yeah.
what you do. And it's like, I don't even care the song. Like, let me just
Yeah.
mix it.
I my buddy gave me this website that's like rock music and metal music, which I'm like not really into, but they have all these stems for mixing. And so like in my free time, I'll just download a song, even if it's bad, like I don't really care. And I'll just, like mix it for fun and kind of see like what happens and like where I get with all of that. Um, so yeah, somewhere like that.
So for somebody who doesn't really understand what mixing or mastering is, how could you like explain that in an understandable way?
Gosh, that's such a tough question. Um, Well, so mastering, I would say, just in a nutshell, right? You just want your song to translate equally across, like Apple headphones or like Beats headphones
Yeah.
to like a really expensive sound system. Um, so I would say that's mastering it. You just want to get like a level playing field when you hear it back. But mixing is I look a little more technical than that. There's a lot of creativity in it, but there's a lot of kind of like different standards that are upheld for most. I mean, most of the time, obviously, you can have like experimental music and stuff like that. So I think mixing just kind of elevates your sound as a whole. It makes everything you're doing. It kind of just gets rid of all the stuff you don't need and brings
Mm,
forth the parts of the song that really like make it rich and make it
right.
pop. Um, that's a good question. That's definitely took me a sec to like figure out.
Yeah. And I like the way you said level playing field for mastering, because usually when you ask like what's mastering, or if you even like
Hmm.
YouTube it, it's always comes down to people saying like loudness. But like I never really
Right.
heard anybody kind of like put it like that.
Right. And that's true too, but like I think mastering is I don't know. I don't know if you heard what some gosh, Interscope I think just disbanded their mastering division, which I
What?
found like really interesting. But I mean it makes sense, right? Like no one and I think this is a good thing, right? People, the way we listen to music is like so imperfect, right? Like you listen on Apple earbuds or like Beats headphones, right? Where it's not like a $50,000 crazy surround system
Yeah.
where you can hear like the fly buzz by the microphone when the dude was recording. Um, and I think, it doesn't have to be perfect. And, you want to make it better, right? But it doesn't have to be perfect because the way that we listen to music is getting less and less perfect. And I think
Yeah.
it's just kind of unrealistic to expect people to pay 10, 15 grand to master a song that is going to be played off someone's iPhone. You know what I'm saying? Like
Mm.
that's, and I know I find a lot of people, I'm trying to like connect with these people more. A lot of people that I see on Instagram or whatever are getting a lot of business doing mastering at like a very reasonable price, right? And of course, there's a balance there where they're not getting Interscope level mastering, right? But
Right.
again, it doesn't really need to be perfect, right? And maybe we'll get to that one day, but for now, I mean, what do you think Apple headphones cost Apple? Like $20 maybe, right? Like
Right.
they're so tiny, like and when you think about like the waves in like a physical sense, like these waves are feet long and they're bigger than whatever the size of like an Apple headphone is. So that's what I think is really interesting. And obviously that sucks for the kind of old school cats that have been doing it for a while that are really
Yeah.
talented at their job, but things change. You gotta keep up with it and keep going. So I don't know, kind of interesting.
It's amazing because I've been taking my sound classes recently, and
Hmm.
we really don't experience sound and music in general, how much time is put into certain records. Because just the
Hmm.
fact, like I was learning that when you listen to music and you don't like put your speakers a certain type of way, you don't have like
Hmm.
absorption or diffusion, like
Yeah, yeah,
the
yeah,
sound is bouncing all over the place,
yeah, yeah.
and nobody's consciously thinking like, oh man, I'm not listening to this. It's just like
Hmm.
it sounds good, you don't hear any
Hmm.
difference, you're like,
Hmm.
all right, cool.
Hmm. I often find that like when I tell people like I got my degree in sound design, which I think is a little deceiving too, because we have sound design classes, but it's more like audio post production, I think would be like a more appropriate name, right? Because
Yeah.
sound design makes it sound like, all you're doing is like manipulate like for 4 years, right? And it's, we got a couple classes like that. And so, I think a lot of times when I say like audio post-production, people are like, cool. And they don't really know like what it is or how much time it takes or how much it can either like really set a movie off or really kill a movie, right? Because, um, our professors talk about this all the time. And I somewhat disagree with this, where they say sound is like 50% of the film, right? I think it's more like 30, 40%, but you can't put down like production design, you can't put down the camera department, right? Like, and that's the thing with film is there's all these like particular careful elements, and it's always like if one is worse than all the others, it kind of ruins the whole film. I think sound is especially worse with that because I've seen a lot of great student films that have awful sound, and you just can't, if you can't understand the lines, like you can't really understand the story, and then what's the point of the rest of the movie? But yeah, people, even my family, when I explain to them like what sound design is after all this time, they'll be like, "Oh, I didn't know that," or like, they didn't know like how long. When I tell them that, takes roughly 5 to 10 hours per minute of a film, they're just like, "There's no way," and it's like, yeah, it's like a very particular process, right?
That's amazing.
Right.
And I really do get kind of like frustrated because I was in class and one of the professors was like, "Oh yeah, we're sound people. We're the stepchildren of film.
Yeah.
Don't worry about it. We don't really matter." I'm like, "Wait, hold on."
Yeah. It's funny,
Matter.
right? And it's funny, like working on films as well. I supervised like 10 or 15 films and worked on like, I don't know, like 30 projects, probably like just kind of roundabout other things. And it's funny because I think everyone thinks that sound design can be done a lot quicker. And someone said this to me one time. I always tell people, like, we're not magicians, right? We can't just turn something like garbage into something great, right? If you give us garbage, we'll make polished garbage, but at the end of the day, like, you can only do so much, right? And then, under time constraints, stuff like that, you gotta, just gotta roll with the punches, I guess.
So speaking about like the films you supervise, like take me back like all the way to like younger you. Were you always into like sound for film and re-recording mixing, or is this something that you kind of learned that?
So, sorry, yeah, not to cut
No,
you
no,
off.
no. Go
Sorry.
ahead.
I I've always just been into movies, right? And especially when I was younger, me and my mom used to watch like just that's all we do on the weekends. It's just fly through movies, right? And I really enjoyed that because she showed me a lot of older movies, like movies from the 80s and 90s that are actually like some of my favorites. Um, but the biggest thing for me is I watched like really scary movies, like maybe at an appropriately young age. But like ever since I started watching them, I was always just, I felt like scary movies just have this nice freedom about them where they can kind of play with the sounds more, and they really they can trick the audience and misdirect. And so I always loved, watching movies, scary movies, regular movies, all that kind of stuff. And I think I had an idea of what I thought sound design was going to be like. And then when I got to SCAD and realized all the different jobs and everything you could do with it, that's when I really like came to love a lot of these aspects. And I think personally, a large reason why I like re-recording mixing is that it is the most creative part of the film. And to have that freedom to like really shape it to what, the final product, to push it from being good to great, or finally finishing glued together, is really satisfying. And it's really, it's like a nice challenge as well, where a lot of times when I go into mixes, I'll have a big problem and I'll sleep on it, or I'll ask a friend for advice, or there may be some sort of challenges with like code, for example. We had this one film we couldn't do ADR on, and so we had to figure out what we were doing with this kind of important line, and kind of the challenges that way, to overcome that. And how do you make a problem turn into something cool, or how do you just make a good film turn into something great? So I don't think I was consciously always into movies. It was just something I really enjoyed watching. And actually, I don't know if you know this about me. I spent one semester at Kennesaw State University where my major was marketing, and I hated it. I hated it, and that's actually how I got started into sound design because I was making like music in my dorm. I was learning
Yeah.
all about it, and I like loved it. And this guy had a poster up for like music mixing, and he was like, mix my album. And at the time, at least I thought I knew what mixing was. I was, doing everything on Audacity and just like,
Sheesh.
I had no idea what I was doing. And so I told the guy, I was like, I don't know what I'm doing, but like, I'll figure out if you let me mix your album.
Yeah.
And sure enough, he was like, okay. And like, I just loved doing that. I found that I was doing that more than I was doing my assignments and stuff like that. So I left Kennesaw and found SCAD, and very, very happy I'm here now, or graduated, I guess. But
Yeah, man. And congrats
mhm.
on that.
Thank you, man. It's a good feeling to not be in school anymore.
Yeah. So when you do the films for mixing, like do you have to be on set and record, or are you more so the guy that you have like a team where you say you do it and then just
Mhm.
bring me back the audio and I'll
Yeah, usually with I got really really lucky with like location sound. It got to the point where the first couple films that I supervised, again, I didn't really have any idea what I was doing, but I was figuring it out along the way. But towards the end, it was like I had like a schedule that was like booked out for like a year, and all like everyone I knew who was working on it, everyone knew what they were going to do. All my friends were kind of sliding into their lanes of what they enjoyed doing and what they were good at doing. So, it was very like efficient. But as far as like location sound goes, Jackson Collins pretty much did all the location sound, and that guy is a wizard. And I'm so thankful that he was like recording because like he just always killed it. And they, for whatever reason, like producers or directors always pick the location sound person, which I find odd because I still think that should be under the sound department's kind of
yeah.
control.
I didn't know that.
Yeah. Oh, like almost every film, they'd always be like, I got like a location sound person. And I'd always be like, who is it? Like, you know what I'm saying? Because if it's someone I'd never heard of before, I don't want to doubt their skills, but with Jackson and with working with all of my other friends on films, it's like, you start to fit in well and you know what they're going to give you
Yeah.
and how you can turn that into something else. And you get really familiar with everyone and their kind of workflow. And when you start with something like location sound, which is, just the base of it, right?
Yeah.
Again, if you give me garbage location sound, I can only give you polished dialogue. So
Bro,
it's
I get
a
I get
it's
to
a
see
hard
your
play.
face like getting some bad audio like
I
this
gotta
what
give
you
a
brought me?
yeah, right. I gotta give a shout out to John Gatto. He I think he entered B Club a couple times.
Uh-huh.
He showed me some. I was like, I don't know what to do. And he's like, oh, like I work on it for like 5 hours and be like, is this good enough? And he'd be like, oh, give me like 2 minutes. And he would just make it sound amazing. And I'd be like, this is so much better. And he's like, no, I can do so much more. Like, give me like another hour or so. And like, he really was the one to put me onto mixing as well.
Wow.
So very thankful for him and showing me all like mixing techniques and like really like getting me started. So he's a cool guy.
At the beginning, did you have to do a lot of on ground location sound?
It was one of those that I thought I really enjoyed doing until I did it, or until I really did other things, and I was like, oh my god, like location sound kind of sucks.
Yeah, I'm trying
Um,
to finesse right now, bro.
yeah,
That's why
yeah,
I'm
yeah,
asking
yeah,
questions. Like
yeah,
I'm
yeah,
not trying to
yeah.
do location sound.
Um, and I think that location sound, like, I wouldn't say it's necessarily the hardest thing to do, but I think it
Yeah,
requires a certain amount of patience,
right.
definitely a certain amount of like experience to know what you're doing and how to hold the mic and stuff like that. Location sound was one of those that the only times I ever did it was when I couldn't find anyone else to do it and I was supervising the film and I'm like, okay, like I have to go do this, right?
Yeah.
Um, but that only really happened once, where I had to go do it because I couldn't find anyone else to do it. Jackson was literally booked up like I mean, I want to say he was booked out like years in advance. Like that, he's just
Woo.
insane. Every single weekend on set, like this guy was just, doing his job, giving like really good location sound. So
And for those who don't know, it really does get like that. It's not over exaggerated. When
no,
you're good at
it's
what you do, people want you on set all the
it,
time.
and it's like that was the thing too. Being on set, we're doing location sound. Um, when I was trying to transition into doing post, I people would they every time I was on set, I'd have at least 3, 4 people come to me and be like, "Oh my god, you do location sound? Like you wanna like do my film?" And I'd be like, "I actually only do post." And they're like, "You want to do post for my film?"
It's
Like,
like this is like scratch. Like I need
right. And it
you.
was funny too because it was like these people's senior theses, and I was like, you don't even know who I am. I could completely like ruin your
Yeah.
film, like. Um, so yeah, that was always I always found that pretty funny. Just people always coming up to me on set and stuff like that, and just like ready to throw their entire project at me and just be like, just needing help and stuff like that. So
You gotta do what you gotta do
gotta
sometimes.
do what you gotta do, and like I never like I said I got like quote unquote booked out. Like I wasn't taking projects more than like probably like 6 month ish in it like advance, which was nice too because I really had time to like work with the director and stuff like that. Where a lot of times when they're on set, they're like, "Oh, my film's due in a week. You want to do like post?" And I'm like, "Dude, your film is like 15 minutes long. A week for 50, like again, you're only
Yeah.
gonna get time versus energy. I can only give you so much, right?" So that was nice to not have that chaoticness and really like plan it out and stuff like that. So it ended up working out, right?
Yeah. How what would you say is like the longest time you ever had to sit down and like work on a project?
Um, Probably Seth Cunningham film called Genesis, which is it was the last film I did and probably my favorite. He did an absolutely amazing job. The team was absolutely amazing, um, and it turned out really like special. We had a lot of time to work on it, and I want to say me and Seth started doing pre-production like a quarter before they were shooting. I remember the first meeting we had when we were talking about it in person because we'd been talking on the phone. And mind you, this was like way before the pandemic. And we were talking about pre-production, and we were like planning everything out. And I was like, "So when are you guys shooting?" Expecting him to say this quarter or in 2 weeks, and he's like, "Oh, we're shooting next quarter." And it was just nice to really plan out everything, and everything was really like purposeful, which I think made it really nice when the pandemic hit because they had filmed it. We were in post production, then the pandemic hit, and I think that was all in all. I think maybe the quality of the film was only reduced by like 1% because of the
Yeah.
pandemic, but really with all the planning that we had, and again we had a couple of challenges, but we ended up making them really cool creative moments that kind of fit in with other parts of the film. And that was also too at the point when I'd been working with everyone on like previous sound projects 6 or 7 times, so we were just in the swing of things. We knew how everyone worked. It was like really efficient. Um, and so I think the longest portion we spent was mixing that film. We took about like 2.5, 3 weeks to mix it, which all the other films took about a week and a half. Um, and that was just really nice. Again, John mixed that film. John Cotto mixed that film, and he did absolutely amazing. And it was just nice that we were able to spend that amount of time on that portion of the film. I think one of the professors said at one point that you want to spend, oh, what was it? It was like 90% of you want to spend 10% of your time working on 90% of the film, and then you want to spend 90% of your time working on the last 10%, like really gluing it together.
Mm.
Because it only takes so long to dialogue at it, right? And then you give it to the mixer. So as quick and as efficient you can be with all those things to get to the point where you can mix and like really make it special, I think is like really important and turned out really well. Um, I'll tell you too, I did the longest film I did was for a SCAD. It was the SCAD. They got rid of it, but it was the class where there was like three pilots they would shoot, and then they would pick one and make like um, two other shows out of it. It was like a
Or like
proof
was
of
it when they
concept.
had like the grits and stuff?
Yes, it was like that. So before they picked Grits, I don't know what the other two shows were, but they filmed two other shows,
Yeah, I remember. I just
and
forgot the name too.
yeah. And that film was 15 minutes long, which is the longest film I had worked on. And we had 9 days to do it. And there was a problem with the editor, and we ended up only having a week to do it. And that was like insanely stressful. But
How'd you get the
um,
gig?
so Dylan Hearn is like ungodly the amount of like films he supervised at SCAD, just like an absolutely crazy amount. And that's actually how I got my start, is because he was like, I was asking him for sound supervision jobs, like how do you get into it? You know, how do you get connected with these people? And he's like, I have like 15 people that want me to supervise their film, but I can't do it because I'm busy. So if you want to do it, you can go ahead and do it. And he, at the time that we worked on that film particularly, he really wanted to work on that film, but he was already like booked up all the way and didn't want to, you know, like sacrifice the
Yeah.
quality of any other film. So he passed it along to me. Um, and we got it done. And um, oh my gosh, DW, sorry, I was trying to think of the film chair's name. Um, when we played it, when we screened it, he said it had like the best sound by far. So that was like really
Wow.
nice. That was really like satisfying, especially
Yeah.
after all the time and with such a short time span to finish it, I guess. So it turned out well, all things considered.
Wow.
It was really crazy.
So when you mix, are you also, along with the dialogue, are you mixing the music too?
So typically, yes. Usually, um, God, it's sometimes, I guess. It really depends on, for example, that film Genesis, the last film I worked on.
Hmm.
Really amazing score. What was his name? I'm totally drawing a blank. I only worked with him once. Um, I'll think of it in a second.
Oh, so they had
He,
original composition.
yeah. But the thing was, is
Sweet.
that he wasn't a sound major. He was a film major that had done kind of some like experimental score type of stuff. And
Hmm.
the director Seth knew him, and it worked out really nicely because he, again, like with mixing, he had all these really great ideas, um, and he just didn't know how to mix it. So he really gave us a lot of creative control with mixing it, and I know he was really happy. And like it just turned out really well. So it was nice that he could take his cool ideas that he would get 90% of the way done with, but didn't know how to push it all together. And we got the opportunity to mix. But I would say usually, it depends. I've worked with other people that are sound design majors and they have everything mixed and panned out and leveled and all that kind of stuff. And so you literally turn it up and down depending on, how it fits in with the rest of the mix and stuff. So depends. I would say professionally, it probably um, depends as well, I guess.
Yeah,
So,
makes sense.
mm-hmm,
Well, you've been dropping some free game, but before you leave,
mm-hmm.
I want, like, what's some advice you would, just give in general to a sound design student, sound designer, artist? Speak from the heart.
Damn, dude, that's a tough one. Um, don't doubt yourself like I doubt myself. Um, if you have an idea and you know it's good, just go for it.
Yes,
And
sir.
even if it's bad, I think people like to see artist progression from where they
Mm,
moved to like where they are now. That's like really refreshing. I know for me as like a listener of music, it's really cool to see like, oh, this person who was
yeah.
like small on SoundCloud, who's still not even maybe big at all, but they worked out a lot. I think the other thing too is don't be afraid to ask for help
Yeah.
when you need it, and don't be afraid to like invest in yourself. I find that some people invest too much in themselves where they go get studio time at like Patchwork Studios where it's like $300 an hour and
Yeah.
they have no idea what they're doing, right? But um, kind of invest in yourself that way. If you know you have an idea, um, just shoot straight for it. Don't be afraid to ask for help, especially in sound design because I think we have a really good community where people love to share
Yeah.
like kind of the secrets. I think everyone always has a little kind of secret sauce they keep to themselves. But for the most part, like I love helping people. I love helping people like progress and stuff like that. So just go for it. Like really experiment. I still think there's a lot that hasn't been done in music that could be done, and same thing with movies and stuff like that. And um, screw the norm. Like if you have a good
Yeah.
idea and you think it'll roll, like just go for it. Ask for help, and you know, you'll get there, right? Like you just gotta invest in yourself and believe in yourself. So
I couldn't
wholesome
agree
ending,
more.
right? Right?
Bro, thank you so much for coming
Yeah,
on. Like,
man.
you don't even understand. Like, I appreciate you so much. You
It's all
always
good.
giving me tips and advice, like you
Mm-hmm.
said, like with helping me
Mm-hmm.
with my music and getting better at my mix.
Dude,
You're actually the first sound designer I've had on here. I'm trying to get Zubin next
oh, dude,
episode.
Zubin is amazing. You know, I
Yeah,
haven't had a lot of opportunities to work with him, but the stuff I see, I'm like, holy crap! Like this guy, that dude is nuts. Um,
yeah.
sorry, just real quick to share. I remember not to embarrass you or anything, but I remember you were like, you came to me one time and you're like, man, I'm working on this song, but like I'm running out of power. Like my computer just can't keep up with it. Like, what do I do? And I was like, oh, you can just like freeze the tracks. And
Bro, that was like the best
you were
like
like, what? And
information.
I remember you saying like, I remember you saying, because it was after I told you a couple other things. You're like, man, I hate talking to you because like you'll tell me some shit and then I got to go back and change everything that I've done. And like, then I come and ask you for like another piece of advice and got to go back and change everything. I thought that was so funny, man. Like,
Yeah, but I mean, I didn't like literally hate it, but this is like honestly, I
I got
appreciate it.
you. Yeah, yeah.
You don't even understand because I always knew I'm like, if one thing's for sure, if I have a question about audio, I can
Mm-hmm.
hit up Jacob, and it's not like
Mm-hmm.
a like
I
you don't know
got you,
this.
man.
Yeah,
Yeah,
like
yeah, yeah. Sometimes I feel like I do that accidentally, where I'll be like, "Oh, I'll freeze something," and you're like, "What's freezing?" And I'll be like, "Oh, I got you." But people were nice to me, so
yeah,
it's all love. I just got to be nice to everyone else, and it's fun. Like now that like you're dropping music and stuff like that, I'm like, "Let's go!" Like it's so
bro.
exciting to hear that. So
We still have yet to work. We got to work together on
I
something
know,
soon,
dude.
man.
I know, dude. I'm ready. I got the free time now. I'm ready. Hit me up.
Yeah, I'm gonna send you some material, bro.
Hmm.
Again, thank you so much for
Hmm.
coming through. More
Hmm.
life, more success to you,
That's
brother.
what I'm saying. It's good
All
to
right,
talk to you,
bro.
man. See you later.